Well, I want to welcome everybody to our May Eye on Piscataway show. And we have several guests on, not in this segment though, but the first segment we have Colleen Pagano from the Ladies Auxiliary at the American Legion Post here in Piscataway. And guess what May is? May is a time to remember our veterans and those who have served and those who are continuing to serve. So Colleen, you've been the mainstay as well as many other volunteers over at the American Legion over the years. Our marquee parade, our only parade in town. So what can folks expect given the fact that it's our country's 250th anniversary, and what can they expect?
They're going to expect a lot. It's going to be larger than normal. There's about 50 marchers, there's 50 groups. So normally we have about 9 to 10 Girl Scout groups. There's like, I think 13 this year, which makes it broader. But it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. There's going to be poppies for sale because, of course, everybody knows what the poppies are.
So maybe there are those lay people out there in the audience that may not know the significance of the poppy.
Okay, the significance of a poppy is the memory of when they went to war. When they went to war, it was just, it brings you back the memory of, they ever hear the field of poppies, because that's what they remember from being in the service. It's like the field of poppies. So we do that in remembrance of all of our war dead. So that's what that does. Our active members are war dead, and it's in memory of them.
So a lot of times you may see at the local stores the month leading up to Memorial Day, veterans out there with collecting some money to get a poppy.
Right.
And they encouraging folks, like, so if you're a guy, you're wearing on your lapel.
That's so you remember them.
Or someplace on your garment, whatever.
That's thanking a war person or somebody who had passed away in memory of our country, basically, to make sure that you remember them.
Yeah, it's also coincides with the placing of flags on the grave marks.
That's
now,
right.
is the American Legion Post involved in placing the flags?
Right, we'll be posting
at various cemeteries.
All the cemeteries in Piscataway we are going to go to. We have groups of people that come in, including the Boy Scouts, and what they'll do is it's going to be on Sunday, the day before Memorial Day. We're going to start at 8:30 with coffee and donuts, and then anybody who comes in.
So you start that at the American Legion Post on South Washington Avenue.
And that's where they will receive their flags. Now everybody has to remember that Memorial Day is about the war dead. So that means is that you have black staff. Black staff flags are for our past, people who have passed on, people who were, shall we say, significantly, they died due to services. So black staff is for that, white staff is for the living. So you always remember that. If you see a black staff flag.
Yeah, they're in mourning.
That's right, they're in mourning.
So the Boy Scouts, in our case, we have three you have Lake Nelson Cemetery, Resurrection Cemetery. So you have a go all around, and that's in conjunction with the owners of the cemeteries, the caretakers.
Right, and if anybody out there needs a plaque for anybody that they have that's a family member who has passed away, and you don't have a plaque, say a service
plaque on the grave
that says where the flag can actually go get posted in. It would say, right now we have new ones that just say United States veteran.
Okay.
Because that way they're not sure.
It's generic. They don't know what branch of the service.
Right. If it's World War II, they can specify. If it's Afghanistan, they can specify. It depends on what sector they were into. Then they can just ask us, and we'll be more than happy to give them a staff, and that way they'll know every year.
So for the folks out there, if you have a loved one or a family member that served our country and obviously is deceased and you don't have a marker on the grave, a lot of times it's a lot easier for those folks putting the flags up if they see that there.
Absolutely.
Versus, sometimes there's some engraving on the headstone.
Exactly.
Or they have to look it up through the cemetery offices.
Absolutely.
And then they have to locate through how the cemetery, it gets a little complicated. When you have maybe 1,000 or more graves that you have to visit, it takes a while.
It takes a long time. That's why we ask for help. We ask, like the Boy Scouts and any community person that would like to come to the American Legion on the Sunday before Memorial Day, please do. 9 o'clock is when they're going to be leaving. We'll give you some black staff flags. You could follow along. There's the one that's right on the corner there of Stelton, right by the Chase Bank there.
Yes.
Right there.
Believe it or not, that's a very old cemetery
It's
there.
extremely old. We have some people that they get squeamish. They don't really want to go into that cemetery, but the person who used to do that has passed away on his own with us as well.
So, not to get, particulars delving into the cemetery, but, it is a good discussion because people need to understand that there are folks that are still out there remembering those who have served.
Yes.
And it's not just one day out of the year.
Right.
And part of that is them going to pay homage at the cemetery.
That's right.
Because folks could be doing other things.
That's right.
That day.
Absolutely.
We do have a couple revolutionary cemeteries, but I don't know the significance. I would have to check with the museum folks if we've actually people that have served in the Continental Army there. I'm suspecting that we may or may have that, but
right. Well,
we'll have to do the research on that
the
one.
The Blackford family, for instance, for Blackford Avenue is by where I live, by my home. But every once in a while I go back there and I read there, and I like to put a flag up on someone that you see that has to be back there, because that is, they don't encourage you to go.
Exactly. Well, it is a private family. We have a couple what they call orphan cemeteries that are from the Revolutionary War.
And I do have to say to you that our president of our auxiliary is extremely involved with our veterans, and Dorothy Twist, that you know, who she was with me. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today because she had her own work to be at. But her, for one, like her and I, we're very much involved, like I'm sure most of our community is, for the people that are really concerned about their family members. Not everybody who served wears a uniform. There's people who served that never went. That aren't really veterans or in the service, but we consider ourselves part of that family.
So let's delve into that very briefly before we get into the actual programming menu.
Okay.
What else does the American Legion do for folks that have served in the armed forces?
Okay. For instance, we take care of them. We buy them so much stuff. We take care of them clothing-wise. We ship boxes over. We're involved with Operation Shoebox.
So explain a little bit about that. That sounds very interesting, Shoebox.
Right. It's called Operation Shoebox. And what it is we collect, like, when you go to hotels and motels and stuff and you stay overnight and they give you those little sample soaps and you never use them, you take them home, little bottles of shampoo. We collect all of that stuff. Then what we do is we take it and we put it in a shoebox and we send it over to, we used to send it over when we were at war. I know they say that we're at war at this point right now, but we're not allowed to send anything at this moment. But we do have people that we send stuff to. I'm collecting right now, as a matter of fact, through Memorial Day at the Legion. And we're getting a lot of donations in. We make them each individual shoeboxes, send them out, and then we take them to the food banks for veterans.
That's interesting.
Yes. We do a lot of that stuff. We also feed them. We did a lot at Lions. We do a lot at Menlo Park.
Now, does the organization, your chap, go to the Lions or to Menlo?
Right. We would go to Menlo Park. We would visit our vet. We actually have what we call.
I would be remiss if we didn't think. Explain the two sites that you're talking about, because there's those folks out there that may not know.
May have no idea. Okay, Lions is a home for. Lions is a very good veterans home. Lions has actually property that they actually live and dorm them. Okay, as well as Menlo Park. Menlo Park is close to me because that's where our adoptive vets are. And adoptive vet is American Legion's auxiliary adopts a vet, and we have a group of them. And on their birthdays, Christmas, holidays, we send them cards, Christmas presents, sweaters, shirts, even motorized wheelchairs if needed, depending on how much money we were able to collect. So our veterans are very much in need. So we try to do whatever we can to help them. Clothing is important. We do accept clothing. We do not accept anything that has to do with like toasters or ovens or anything like that any
appliances
longer.
And things
appliances
like that.
We don't take any longer because, of course, it's a hazardous thing. So
and you don't know what type of space they may or may not have.
Exactly.
There may be certain parameters what they're allowed to do.
Exactly. Right.
Also, Lions is also the hospital, the veterans hospitals up there.
Right. It's a veterans hospital is what Lions is, and that's what they do. And most of our veterans in this state go to Lions, or they actually go. I prefer well, Menlo Park they go to because that's a home where they stay into. But Lyons is where they go. I had so many people adopt a blind vet from up there, and our veterans go up there for their medical needs. So that's where they go for their medical needs and get what they need from up there.
So you just want to let the folks know there's also a satellite office in Piscataway for veterans, and we're encouraging veterans to take advantage of that.
Right.
And the reason why, because we don't want that going away. Because if there's not a clientele.
Do you have paperwork on that I might be
Yeah,
able
it's
to
over
have?
down, for those folks, it's off of Old New Brunswick Road.
Okay,
so.
what I'll do is I'll get some paperwork on that and I'll post it down there as well.
Yeah, because right there, I mean, I know Congressman Pallone, because it used to be situated over in New Brunswick, and now they have a site because there's easier with the parking and things like that. All right, so you take care of folks that are honored in the cemetery, folks that are still alive over in nursing care facilities.
And
PTSD.
Which is a dog.
And that's
a dog.
A lot of people don't realize it wasn't until the last 25, 30 years that has been really recognized now as a serious medical issue.
Absolutely.
With folks that have served in the armed forces.
Absolutely. And for me, it's a hidden disease.
Yeah, they used to say,
it's
well,
sickness that's,
he was that person was in Vietnam, or they served in this war, and they gave it as an excuse, but they didn't realize that it was post-traumatic stress.
Right.
And it wasn't until it really started coming in the forefront. So.
Yes, and they're working diligently on trying to get that, up to par, and it's so difficult because you're not really sure who has it and who doesn't, and they don't admit it if they do have it, and that's the problem. We are working on dogs. We donate to.
Now that's an interesting thing because I have
Yes.
dogs. I have 3 labs. Go ahead, talk about the canines.
Right. So when you do this, when you go there where they actually give a veteran a dog, they let him adopt one for post-stress. There's not a dry eye in the place. Really? First of all, you can't control yourself. I don't care what kind of man, woman, child, whoever you are. There's no way.
So who's in charge of? You don't just take a dog out of the
clinic. It's a lot. It's
like,
very expensive.
Really?
It's an expensive deed to do. It takes a lot of people to get through that. There's fundraising. We have a woman that is one of our officers that is really close to that, and a Legionnaire. That's with us. That's extremely close to that. And
so how do they handle the placement of the dog?
That goes through a process. It's a process that they go through, and then they find out who's going to be placed with the dog that way. I'm not going to say it's not a monetary thing because that's not what they go by. They actually go by who actually needs it the most. And there's quite a few people that need it. And if you get put on a list, then they'll go through the list and then they'll pick someone from that choice.
So is it to one specific breed
right.
or
no? It's one specific person.
Okay.
But there's different breeds of dogs.
Okay, gotcha. Because I know some of the things that it has to go when they're scouting for a CNI dog or certain specific dogs and things like that.
Oh, to me, I think about it and I can just it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's something that your heartfelt. Really.
Now, are they when a dog is matched with a vet? Do they pay for the food, or is that one of the conditions?
It's part of the conditions that go with it, or the veteran just takes that dog on if they're okay. But we generally do the whole. They pay for everything. It's beautiful.
And then the vet bills and things like that. So
and they're 100% taken care of. It's wonderful.
I personally would love to see something like that.
I would love for you to come to that.
That's near and dear to my heart. So.
Yeah, I'll have to invite you.
Okay, so go ahead, Colleen. You had something else to say.
I have something else I want to say because it was important that I told you personally that our commander, Nick Sorrentino, has chosen...
Who's a great guy, by the way.
Yes.
Great guy.
He has,
a very lovable individual.
Yes. He has chosen you to be our Grand Marshal in the parade this year.
Well, I am, first of all, stunned and very humble, by the way. Very humble, because there's always somebody who may be more worthy.
It's not worthy cause.
You know what I mean? To honor.
We feel that you were worthy of that.
Yeah.
And it was a vote. They voted on it. It was unanimous. So you actually got the vote for that, and I'm very honored to tell you that you were, if you will accept it, to be our Grand
Well, I got to
Marshal.
tell you, Colleen, you're putting a lot of pressure on me. I remember almost 25 years ago when I was the Grand Marshal, it poured raining the whole time.
No.
And it was a monsoon rain for an hour, and I just remember walking down the street basically by myself. There was nobody watching. And somebody took a photo at the corner of West 7th and Washington Avenue, and there was not one person except the barricades up.
I might have that photo at the Legion.
And I'm holding an umbrella with the sash, and there's nobody there. It's like, what is this guy in the middle of the intersection in a pouring rain doing?
Well, that's dedication.
Yeah.
That's what I call dedication. So if our guys can work and do what they had to do in the service,
Yeah.
with all that heavy equipment
Yeah.
on, go through rice fields, through Vietnam, then we could sure walk in the rain.
That's actually
Absolutely.
pretty good. So, all right, thank you very much. Tell the folks of both the Post and also the Auxiliary, thank you for the honor.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, and I'm going to now have to guarantee good weather.
Yes, you will. Thank you so much.
So, real quickly, now,
Yes.
what can people expect in the day of the parade?
Okay, the day of the parade, they're going to expect us to have, we're having our services that we're going to have down at Possum Town, right?
Yeah.
We're going over there with you. You're going to have a service there. Of course, now you're going to have 2 speeches.
Yes,
Okay, unfortunately. I'm sorry to put that on
that's
you.
okay. That's okay.
And then we're going to be going, and that's going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
the day of. And 10 o'clock, we're going to be over at the American Legion in Piscataway, Post 261.
Mm.
And then we do our services there. And then right from there, we're going to leave, and we're going to go right on down to, we're going to go down to the firehouse, where we're going to have.
With the Arbor Hose.
Firehouse, Arbor Hose, where we're going to have the start of the parade. There will be people at the start of the parade that's going to line up everybody. We got a lot of people, groups of people. Those 2 women that are going to be there are going to take care of. It's going to be Esther. You remember Esther? Esther's one of the women that are going to be there, and Sue McAndrews.
Okay.
She's going to be down
And
there
Sue's
as well.
been doing that for a number of years.
Yeah, she's with us. And they're going to march up, and after they come back to us, well, there's going to be an announcement. There's going to be a grandstand where each performer or whoever's
That's
going
worked
to be
out
in
through
there.
the county Department of Recreation,
Yes.
where we have the mobile
We have the
bandstand.
mobile bandstand there, right? And they could stop there and they could perform.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they perform, they're going to move on. They're going to go over to the Legion, where they're going to have soda, water, hot dogs, and there will be a non-meat. There'll be a vegetarian option for our
Okay, good.
vegetarian community.
For all those healthy people out there.
Yeah, for the healthy people, we'll
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a community.
So the types of groups, like normally we have all 6 of the fire companies
Yes.
normally march in the parade.
And Newmarket is the first.
Newmarket's is here as the honorees right there.
Right, yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. That means whoever's first gets to the hot dogs.
They get to
and
the
by
hot
the
dogs.
way, where do you get the volunteers to cook all the food?
Every single one of them are our members from Post 261. I just want to put a shout out to our SAL, our Legionnaires, oh my goodness, our auxiliary. We're so fortunate to have a good group of people, because not everybody's making it these days. We're trying to do the best we can, and I want to put a shout out to all of them, because without them, there's nothing.
Because a lot of that starts early in the morning, very early in the morning, because they have to get where they cook the hot dogs on. They have to get that flame really hot, and, and
Right.
with those big cooking units that they have,
And our gentlemen,
you just can't. It's not propane.
No, it's
Yeah.
charcoal.
Charcoal.
We have
It's the
charcoal.
old-fashioned way.
That's right.
And that's what makes the hot dogs very good.
That's right. We're going to be using charcoal on our grill, and there will be a lot of hot dogs.
Yep.
You know.
So yes, you can have two hot dogs.
Yes, you can have 2 hot dogs.
Yeah. So all right. So after that, and then they're given a ribbon for performing.
Right, they'll be
thing.
given a ribbon for each group, not individual.
Yeah.
Because of course
Yeah,
you
it's
can't
a
give
group.
an individual. It'll be as a group. They'll get a ribbon for saying that they were in the parade, and there will be one winner. So
Okay.
we always pick a winner.
So what I want to make sure, also, any of the participants who are going to be marching the parade, they have to sign an affidavit,
Yes.
code of conduct.
It's a code of conduct. There will be no
And we want to make
politics.
sure this is all about the veterans.
It's about the veterans. It's a Veterans Day. This is not a day for any politics. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but it's not.
And that includes me.
And that includes you.
Yep. I'll
But
be
thank
signing
you.
the code of conduct.
Thank you very much. I have one right now for you,
Good.
right here. So, well,
What's a parade without paperwork?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your, help and everything, all through everything that you do. And if anybody has any torn flags at home,
That's
please.
one last thing, 20 seconds left. Please explain what that is.
Okay, if you have a flag that's ripped, torn, or anything hanging in front of your house like that, please bring it to the American Legion. We will dispose of it properly with a proper
In other words,
burning.
don't put it in the garbage.
No, it's not to be put in the garbage. Our flag
Yeah.
never goes in the garbage.
Yeah.
Never touches the ground.
Yeah.
It never goes in the garbage.
So remember that. Never throw a flag in the garbage.
June
Just give it to your
14th, we burn our
American
flags.
261.
That's right.
And I hope we have a huge crowd out there along West 7th and South Washington Avenue for the parade. Not just to see your neighbors, but more importantly to see the men and women who served our armed forces.
Absolutely.
And all of our volunteers in town too.
Right, and don't forget, if you see a veteran, thank them.
Yes, and it's okay to buy a cup of coffee.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That goes without saying. So,
you.
Colleen, thank your team at the 261.
I will, thank you.
And all the Ladies Auxiliary, too. We really
Okay.
appreciate all the hard work you do, not just for the parade, but throughout the year.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you and your staff and everybody as well. Thank you.
Good seeing you, and we'll see you at the parade.
Thank you so much.
I want to first say congratulations to all of our students for making it through our 8-week LEAD curriculum, turning in your posters and your essays.
This time of year is usually the time of year where we have our ceremony and we are able to celebrate all of the hard work that the students did in the 12 weeks that they participated in the program.
This is one of the programs that's run through our Piscataway Police Department. It's a very important program. We also have community outreach program that goes through the school system through 5th grade all the way up to 12th grade, where we come in and we have outside consultants that come in and speak about issues of the day with the students. We're using some of the opioid money settlement for that. I think this is a great program.
So it's good to be here today with you guys to talk about something that truly matters. That's your future, your choices, and your ability to lead. The LEAD program, which stands for Law Enforcement Against Drugs and Violence, is all about giving you the tools to make smart decisions, to avoid dangerous situations, and to become positive leaders for your schools and your communities.
The Law Enforcement Against Drug and Violence program was all about giving you the tools to make smart decisions, avoid dangerous situations, and become positive leaders in your schools and communities. At the heart of this program were 3 key ideas: drug prevention, bullying prevention, and resisting peer pressure.
It was a lot of fun. It was a pleasure meeting everybody. I had a great time with this. I hope you all enjoyed it just as much. Got something out of it, learned something about our operations, how we work for you, and basically how we operate on a day-to-day basis.
And we want to make sure that everybody's puts their best foot forward, because it's a reflection on not just the department, but also the community as a whole. We're a very dynamic community, probably I think it's the 7th most diverse town in the state of New Jersey. There's a lot of moving parts, and we're here to try to juggle those pieces of the puzzle and put them together, and hopefully we have a safe and thriving community. That's what we'd like to see in this town. Most people want to just come in and, they want to raise their kids, or if they're in retirement, they want to sit back, kick back and enjoy the area, go to see their family and stuff, but they don't want to come home and see some vandalism or something, in their neighborhood. It's all about public safety.
First of all, congratulations. Thank you for your time, commitment, and dedication. I got one ask. Please don't take this graduation as being your final involvement with the police department, but look at it as being the beginning of a partnership with the police department.
I have a greater appreciation for sure for law enforcement, but also just the crazy things that they have to deal with, and the responsibility they take on. Kind of take it for granted as a citizen, as a civilian, as a person that goes to work every day, pays taxes and stuff.
This was such a great experience for me, and I learned a lot what you guys go through every day for us. And you deserve so much more to be protected since you're protecting us. And I appreciate every single one of you.
Role plays, unloaded weapons, golf cart DUI. Some of the things we did try. Traffic stops, field sobriety tests, citizen interaction. Focus required, not a time for distraction. Our heartfelt thanks to Yang, Myers, I don't know where there she is, and Coffee too, plus a whole host of Piscataways, men and women in blue.
Welcome to our annual Piscataway Walk for Your Health. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces. When I was on the council, I started this walk, right? And the purpose of it was to take an opportunity for all of you to come together as a community and take a moment to do some self-care.
Health and wellness is a big issue within our community, not just in Piscataway, but Middlesex County and the state in general. Anytime anybody can be out there exercising, we don't want to create full employment for the medical industry, so stay healthy. And actually, it's a lot cheaper to keep the weight off, because then look at it this way, you don't have to go out and buy more clothes, right? So anyway, so are we having pork roll and cheese sandwiches afterwards? Though? Oh, okay. I just want to check. Just like there.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming.
I want to welcome everybody back to I Am Piscataway, and we're very fortunate enough to have Paula Cozzarelli on, who's our township administrator. And Paula, you're in the hot seat here, so to speak,
Yes.
as most administrators are. Literally,
For a good
figuratively.
reason, right, Mayor? I hope.
Yeah. It's one of these things that we thought we'd talk. Some folks have been asking, just out of curiosity, they've seen some work being done out of our ecological park, and we want to give them a status update, what people can expect, potential timelines, costs, problems that we're running into, whatever out there. So unlike most people, as the mayor, I can't wave a magic wand and have a project finished overnight as they do on TV. But I think we did have an update almost 4 or 5 months ago by Councilwoman Michelle Lombardi, and also the engineering firm who's handling the design and cleanup of the ecological park. So what is the biggest challenge, other than money, that we have out at that site?
Mayor, the biggest challenge is dealing with the permitting regulations. So that's a big, big challenge. In addition to the other challenge is the fact that this is a 75-acre site we're looking at, and approximately 8 acres is contaminated. And it's not just light contamination. This is requiring a tremendous effort, which we're undergoing right now. So you're dealing with...
So the construction vehicles that you see out there, and I'm not talking of one where these self-storage facilities being built close to the shop, right? I'm talking about further inland into where the diocese buildings are over in that area.
So what you're seeing is right now about 100 truckloads, 15 cubic yards each, pulling contaminated soils out. And as you're pulling these soils out, they don't really know what they contain. So it has to be tested to ensure that it can go to where we have a soil permit.
And I got to hold you right there.
Yes.
Why is the significance of that? Because the state of New Jersey changed the rules is that we can't necessarily take a load of soil to the landfill. The landfill, obviously, because of the new DEP regs, have changed their procedures for the private sector and the government entities who are using the landfill, where everything must be tested and to see what type of chemicals that are in it. And that depends upon what section probably of the landfill it's going to go to.
Exactly, and not only that, the distance of the appropriate landfill. So think about 100 truckloads that has soil that now is not just traveling 10 miles, but perhaps 50 miles because of its contaminants. And we did run into that. We ran into something where we had to get another permit in order to...
In another landfill pretty far away.
Exactly. So, you know, if I just want to take a moment, Mayor, this project began probably, first of all, we acquired the land and everything, and just getting everything in order took a tremendous amount of time. You know, coming on board, I was schooled in I was schooled in knowing that 2021 DPW crews began truly pulling out all the debris, 75 acres of debris, untouched land for
there was
many,
a lot
many
of
years.
concrete that had to be jackhammered, and we did save a lot of costs because we were using our personnel intermittently out there. We rented a jackhammer backhoe, so to speak, to jackhammer on that, because the cost would have went through the roof.
So we've done that. The township also, there's a tremendous amount of invasive species there. So we hired a contractor to come in and cut that back. These species will not, you know, you have to cut them off. They'll keep growing and become invasive.
And I think it's called Phragmite or whatever.
Yeah, there's mug, I want to say, I'm not even going to try.
Phragmites
Mugwort or mug, yes, Phragmites,
I forget the terminology out there. In other words, it shouldn't be there.
They're nasty.
It shouldn't be there.
Yes, they're nasty and they're a problem. But now here we are moving ahead. We've done that. Remediation is underway. Phase 1, remediation. So what happens in the remediation phase is before the township can now continue its project with the further phasing, we have to get what's called a response action outcome from the DEP. What that means is that there's a sign off by the state, there's a sign off by our engineer that the land has been cleaned up and it is now ready for its intended purpose. So we're getting close to that, but again, that alone is a process in and of itself.
And because it's going to be for recreational purposes, it has to be brought up to residential standards, which is much more stringent than industrial standards for obvious reasons.
So, and what we're doing, and I'm thankful when I got here, you know, everything is happening, you know, concurring at the same time. So not only are we getting this permitting, we're also now moving into phase 2. We've put $2 million, as you know, Mayor, of pilot monies aside to fund the next phase 2. We also received $3.2 million from the Brownfields funding, an additional $500,000 from the state, which we already have gotten in advance of $375,000. So we're doing well.
And that was money that Senator Smith helped put in last year's state budget to give towards that.
Yes, and I mean, that is a huge lift for us. So with all those monies, now we're able to now look at phase 2. And phase 1 and phase 2 kind of overlap, as we had discussed, because
And I think that is the trickiest part of this, because we can't get a clean bill of health out there. And some of it's going to be requiring, as you just said, overlapping, where it's got to be encapsulated, and we can't get certain financing until it's deemed complete and cleaned up.
correct, and that would bring us to Green Acres funding. So we have another $1.4 million waiting. Green Acres is waiting for Green Acres. For those is the State Department. Green Acres. This is for the preservation of open space.
On the auspices of the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection of the state.
And so they're waiting for that RAO, response action outcome. They want that signed off before they'll release their money to us.
Yeah, because there's evidently a rule that they cannot release any Green Acres funds for a contaminated site.
Exactly.
And I have to tell you that the Green Acres folks have been very patient with us. You know, and they understand what's going on and what we're doing and the long process this is going. But it's been very challenging for us at the local end, because we're jumping through hoops to meet the regs that are set up by the state of New Jersey. In the interim, there's been several times now where the regulations have changed while, you know, this is the design and cleanup's been going on, which means the engineering firm / environmental firm has to rechange their cleanup process because the regs are becoming more stringent. So it's what we anticipated when we first started is totally different from, I mean, the ultimate end game is to have a cleaned up property.
Sure.
But methodology and monies and everything is all changed there. It's no different than what happened, like where we're under engineering design for the section of Old New Brunswick Road from Centennial Avenue to the 287 Bridge, where we had the design finish, ready to go out to bid, and then the state DEP changed additional stringent stormwater regulation things. So we had to now redesign the underground detention system, and now we have to acquire more right-of-way and easement off the property owners in order to effectuate to do the improvements. That is the same issue that we're dealing with the ecological park at this point.
Oh yeah, Mayor, this is a very multi-layer, complex problem because every year brings forth another phase. And keep in mind, state employees don't always stay in the same position. So every time we update something.
I know, that is an excellent point,
Yeah.
Paula. We've seen two people at Green Acres who oversaw the Green Acres since the entire same, now had a career and retire.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you know, we knew the individuals on first name basis, and you know, because they knew the complexity of this site. And now we're on, I think, employee number 3 now. So I'm hoping that'll be the last person.
Yeah, I mean, if I could just say, I mean, he sounds young, but let's hope, you know, he's trying to get up to speed. I'm up to speed. We're trying to. So again, it's a very complex matter. It's not a matter of, oh, I want to build a house. I hire my construction. I hire my plumber. It's not that easy. You know, you're dealing with 75 acres of contaminated land, of which, you know, 10% or so is contaminated. You're dealing with rules and regs that are constantly changing. Employees are constantly changing. There's updates and whatnot. But in any event, we're working through it all, Mayor. And I'm happy to say that phase 1 is pretty close, I want to say, as we can move into now phase 2, which phase 2 is the actual parking lot and capping. So that is part of the cleanup to cap the contaminated area. So we've moved into that phase.
Just to give people a visual, so where the temporary light is out there on South Washington Avenue, which is going to be a permanent light, I mean, because they're the property owner across the street is responsible for putting a full-blown traffic light. I know somebody said to me, "Oh, Mayor, why is there going to be another light out there?" We need a light there for when the park is built out, so people can safely make a left-hand turn in and a left-hand turn out, because you don't have that at that point right now. They did, the engineering firm did readjust the main entrance of where the park is going to be to match up where the light is, which is saving us over $2.5, almost $3 million, because the town was going to have. We're going to have to probably construct that light anyway in conjunction with Middlesex County government because it's a county road. But for safety purposes out there, because don't forget there's sidewalks, you're expecting a lot of people to bike or walk to it or drive to the site. And what happened is the developer across the street where Snack Innovation is going to be going is now responsible for building a full-blown traffic signal lights with all the safety features. You know, the new federal standards with Braille, you know, it talks to you if you press the button and things like that. So, which is good. It's coming out at an appropriate time.
Yeah.
And so once the light is installed out there, just visualize pulling in, making a right or left-hand turn into the site. And there will be parking on the left-hand side out there where the parking lot had to be moved. And that's going to encapsulate some of the contaminants.
Exactly. So that's how we're going to continue moving the project forward. And then part of that phase will be the actual drainage and retention basins. Huge.
By the way,
huge.
the drainage basins that are going to be out there are going to be several acres big. Several acres big.
They are. You know, we're hoping that the permitting will go smoothly, but permitting for that kind of project is anywhere from 6 months to a year. That's the schedule we'll provide
Just
it
to
with.
get the permit
Exactly.
for the drainage
You can't
basin.
even touch the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the
So the
permitting in
significance
place.
of that is it's going to collect any impervious coverage runoff to go there. But more importantly is there's going to be little culvert bridges going over the drainage basins because since it's such a large site and because there's going to be about 2 miles worth of walk trails, multi-use paths. So that's why, you know, we were tossing and turning about, can we do one basin? And the engineers are really saying, no, you really got to do both because it's collecting everything. So that may be a stumbling block potentially, but because we've got to build a bridge over there. So there's a lot of large infrastructure improvements that have to happen at the site before we can actually build the actual amenities for the park.
Oh yeah, Mayor. These retention basins, we're looking at $8-9 million for the culvert, the retention basins. So we are moving forward with it.
It's not going to get done by cake sales.
No, it's not.
No, we appreciate the cake sales and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you have a potential $40 million project, it does no different than what happened with the community center. We ended up using the pilot money
Absolutely.
to, to payment in lieu taxes to build the community center. So it's no tax impact on the residents in this town for a large infrastructure project like that. And that is the mechanism that we're going to be moving in that direction. So those critics out there that are saying, oh, well, you're taking money from the school. No, this is for infrastructure for our town that'll last multi-generations in this town.
Absolutely. This park is really the heart of what municipal government is to provide. You know, well-being, welfare. This park will have the amphitheater. I'm sure you've discussed it
So
in
everybody
previous-
knows that once the amphitheater is built on the ecological park, that'll be where the concerts series will take place. Because there will be seating for at least 600 folks, and then it'll be sort of designed like the Garden State Arts Center with the sunken in where the stage will be below grade right there. So, which will be good because it'll be safe parking, plenty of parking, bathroom facilities, and everything. And you won't hear the train whistle as it's going by.
No.
Except when you hear the Johnny Cash songs with the train going
Walk the
down the
line.
tracks. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that one.
But that's the critical thing, and more importantly is in all the aesthetics and the other infrastructure that's going to go in for multi-use path, fitness stations and things like that. A very large playground.
Yeah,
for
dog park,
yep.
Butterfly. You know, the whole goal of this is passive recreation. It's a place where residents can come after a hard week's work, hard work of week. I can't get it out. Or hard whatever. just to come and relax and enjoy themselves. This is what, again, what municipal government's all about. It's a service that we are providing, that we are working very diligently. Mayor, you already worked way before I got here in terms of laying the groundwork for the financing of this park, and we're going to continue to keep getting those grants and continue to try and get funding, and of course earmarking more and more pilot monies to help offset
Well,
this
that's the
cost.
critical. You have the large companies that are coming in through economic development in our town. This is what built the community center. That's what's building the bathroom facilities up on Green Acres this year.
Comfort Station.
And this is what's going to take care of the ecological park. So that's why it's a critical component, because there's competing needs in the town for infrastructure. We have approximately over $150 million worth of roadway improvements that need to get done over there. If you do the math, if we're only spending $7 million a year, which is a lot of money, by the way, for a municipality.
Oh, it sure is.
No other town is spending that kind of money. So that's why we need another economic resource, infrastructure revenue, to take care of these large mega projects that are going to last multi-generations for our community. So we're going to do that, and then what are some of the other components that are going to be out there? I mean, other than the recreational facilities out there. We're also going to have a maintenance building out there, because that size we're going to need a maintenance building.
And a pavilion. A pavilion with, the vision is to have a concession stand, an area where people can just relax, eat, enjoy the show, whatever is going on. Also, green infrastructure is planned throughout the park. So it's going to be, truly an ecological park in terms of the passive, the green infrastructure, and just overall the scheme of the whole park is just going to be for people to come, enjoy, relax, and like I said, walking paths. I mean, walking around this area.
Actually, it was kind of funny. I ran into a gentleman last week. He was asking me about frisbee golf, which is where you throw the frisbee. It's a whole nother thing we're going to look into, possibly putting it over there, but we're going to have the flexibility to do that. I know there's some critics out there that are saying, oh, it's taking too long. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to deal with the state DEP when it comes to mega projects like this. And those folks that are out there criticizing have never lifted a finger and never managed a project like this. We know what we're doing, and I know it's going to be very successful. Just like the community center, once it's built, everybody's going to love it, and they're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be a multi-generational facility out there.
Oh, definitely, Mayor. And people, if you're not working in government, you just don't know how things are done. People often say, how do you even get anything done? There are so many rules and regulations you have to follow. It's just the experience. Mayor, you've been in this business for over 30 years. I know, you have to understand the rules so you can make the rules work for you, and you continue to push forward. You challenge, you push, and you get things done.
And that's the way we got to do in Piscataway. Well, Paula, I want to thank you for stopping by Ion Piscataway and giving us a brief update. I want to thank both some of the council members, Michelle Lombardi and also Dennis Espinoza. Their wards jointly have been very much involved in a lot of the planning of this, and also Sharon Carmichael, even though it's not her ward. But it is a very worthwhile project that I can't wait to see to get over the finish line. So with that, I look forward to seeing everybody in June. I know we have Memorial Day coming up, then prom season, high school graduation, and then ultimately FIFA and the 4th of July fireworks, which we're going to have one of the largest fireworks display in central New Jersey. So we'll talk more about that when we come around for the June show. So with that, everybody have a safe Memorial Day, and more importantly, keep a vet in mind. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Dale Caldwell for being here today. Also Senator Bob Smith, Assemblyman Kevin Egan, Assemblyman Joe Danielson, Councilwoman Gabrielle Cahill, Councilwoman Sharon Carmichael, Councilman Dennis Espinoza, our Supervisor Engineering Joe Herrera, who's hiding in the back there. We also have our BA Paula Cazzarelli, our Police Director Keith Stipp, and we also have our County Commissioner Charlie Tamaro. I believe I caught everybody. Anyway, this is great news. I want to publicly thank the Department of Transportation. This is a very historical day for Piscataway because this is the largest reconstruction project for a roadway in the history of Piscataway Township. Approximately over $9 million, right, Joe? Over $9 million road project. And the Department of Transportation, we received over $4 million towards this project. Now, the significance of Centennial Avenue here in Piscataway Township is the fact this is our economic corridor for our township. This 4-mile stretch of roadway here in our township that parallels 287 generates over $534 million in assessed rateables, which equates to $16 million in tax revenue every year. And the significance of this, and I know Senator Smith knows this, when this was started out in the 1960s as a parallel road, it was finally finished in 1998 with the last piece by Centennial Square Shopping Plaza. The first time this was under construction when I was a kid in the 1960s, and the engineer at that time was Hank Zanetti Sr., who devised a plan to build a parallel road for economic development along 287 right behind me. Well, lo and behold, they built the first mile, and it cost $1 million in the 1960s. Well, guess what the voters did? They threw everybody out of office because it was too expensive. But however, the foresight of Hank Zanetti Sr. at the time to build the parallel road to Stelton Road, the county road, gave us all this economic development. So he ends up getting fired, gets hired on by the borough of South Plainfield. What does he do? He continues Centennial Avenue, which is now Hadley Road in South Plainfield, for economic development. So now it's a 5-mile long, 4-lane roadway parallel in both communities, which contributes to a lot of economic development. So that's the history behind Centennial Avenue. Now, right now, this is home to several perfume companies, notably the Chanel, which is their North America and South America plant. So if you use Chanel products, it's made right here in Piscataway. We also have a lot of pharmaceutical companies, data centers, IT centers, pharma, you name it, we have it out here. This corridor is really revamping itself through economic development over the last 10 years. It was predominantly white-collar office jobs out here, but we all know along 287 the economics has changed out there. So we're going back to our grassroots, which is IT, and IT, we're predominantly an IT town, and I know our good friends in labor, the IBW folks, really appreciate that here with all the IT jobs right here, and hopefully we're going to have across the street one of the largest IT facilities here in the state of New Jersey, hopefully within the next year or two. So with that, I would like to turn the mic over to our State Senator Robert Smith, and then we're going to have the Lieutenant Governor say a few remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. It is a great day for Piscataway Township and for the state of New Jersey. I think the mayor indicated the tremendous economic impact. And the one thing I really liked in his speech was that he mentioned our history. Henry Zanetti was our engineer. He did put together this plan. The government at that time supported it, and as a result, they were all thrown out of office for Zanetti's folly or the $1 million mile. The voters at that time did not see the benefit of this roadway. But as the mayor pointed out, we're really talking about millions, if not hundreds of millions of jobs, rateables, tax revenue that have helped to keep Piscataway one of the lowest taxed communities, municipal taxes, at one of the lowest rates in Middlesex County. Mayor, are we second or third lowest?
We're the second.
We're the second lowest municipal tax rate in Middlesex County, and my assembly colleague is saying his town is the lowest. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll assume that it's true. Anyway, flash forward 60 years from the 1960s to the 2020s, and this road has served us well. And I have to comment on the foresight of this administration for working with us, with the Department of Transportation, the Sherrill administration, and before that, the prior administration, to seek these funds. This actually is the highest award from NJDOT to a local project in the history of the state of New Jersey. And that results from an aggressive team of Kevin Egan and Joe Danielson, and I helped a little bit too. And your mayor and your council saying to the state, pointing out to the state how important this street is to the economy of New Jersey. And that's why you really do need a ribbon cutting or some kind of acknowledgement, because people should know the history and they should know that government is here working for them to return their tax dollars into infrastructure so that they will have to pay less in the future, because we have these very good industries, very clean industries on Centennial Avenue. So my pleasure to be here, and Hank Cindy, I know wherever you are, you're listening to this program, and be proud. You did a great job for the town, and the town has carried forward on its plans in a great way. We are truly lucky citizens to have so many concerned people working for the benefit of the community. Mayor, let me turn it back to you.
Thank you, Senator. And to the Lieutenant Governor, a lot of people in Piscataway are very happy. In the words of Assemblyman Egan, he said, you don't have to go and see a chiropractor now after going down Centennial Avenue with all the potholes that were in there. So it was full employment for the medical industry because of that. So let's have the Lieutenant Governor come up and say a couple quick words. Lieutenant Governor Dale Caldwell.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I remember when you first started. I've been around a long time too, and so just to see this, and even though we're in Piscataway, I live in New Brunswick, and we share the same senators and assembly folks. So it's old home day. So I feel like this is in my neighborhood. So on behalf of Governor Sherrill and myself, the governor's talked a lot about clearing out bureaucracy, making projects work. And one of the things I think that people don't understand is the connection between transportation and business and economics and revenue and jobs. And so this investment of $4 million from the state, and hearing the historic nature of that, is not just about building a roadway, making sure that people can go through. It's really about creating jobs. It's really about helping businesses flourish and helping grow in this part of the great state of New Jersey. And so on behalf of the Sherrill administration, I'm honored to be here, to be part of this. You guys are always doing some incredible things, and I like this part of the state being the leader in doing the right thing. So just want to say congratulations to everyone who's been involved. I'm a big history buff, so the history plays an important role with everything that we're doing. We're so excited that the union labor and others are part of this. So, so let's get to really taking some pictures and really making this thing work. And hopefully, this is a model of what this administration wants to do throughout the state of New Jersey. How do we empower businesses and communities to work the best way they possibly can to create jobs and make New Jersey more affordable? So, thank you for having me.
to